I need to ask you a question, and I want you to answer truthfully, even if only inside your head. How many times in recent months have you felt something, a clear thought in the midst of chaos, an idea that appeared out of nowhere, a phrase someone said that seemed tailor-made for what you were going through, and let it pass? You didn't consciously reject it. You didn't say, "I don't want this." You simply let it slip away. The phone rang. An urgency appeared. The moment dissolved, and life went on. But something remained. A residue. A slight restlessness that you cannot name, but which appears in moments of silence, in that gap between the rush of the day and the sleep that does not come. If you are over 35 and recognize this feeling, this persistent impression that something important tried to reach you and you unintentionally diverted, then what I'm going to reveal to you in the next few minutes may change the way you interpret everything that has happened in your recent history. Because there is a name for what you are experiencing, there is a documented cause, and there is a way out that does not depend on luck, magic, or a special date on the calendar. And I need to warn you of one thing before continuing. The most important part of this video is in the second half. It is there that I will show you the difference between people who recognize these moments and respond, and people who spend their entire lives feeling that they almost understood something, but never quite got there. If you leave before then, you will stay exactly where you are. Let's start with the mechanism. In 1999, two researchers from the University of Illinois, Christopher Chabry and Daniel Simons, conducted one of the most famous experiments in the history of cognitive psychology. They asked volunteers to watch a video of people passing a basketball and count the number of passes. In the middle of the video, a person dressed in a gorilla suit entered the scene, stopped in the center, beat their chest, and left.
Attention, you need to prepare now. I put together an exclusive resource for those who feel set apart for something greater, but live surrounded by noise, distractions, and mental overload. This is a 30-day journey that will transform your life, a guided path to armor your mind and prepare for what's coming, with daily practices of focus, boundaries, and discipline. Stop negotiating with the noise. Learn to spot distractions before they control you and strengthen your mind. Also available in an immersive audio version. Over 10,000 readers have already transformed their lives through the 30-day journey. Thousands of people have already started this transformation. People like you who were tired of living in the fog, ordinary people who decided to stop accepting mental chaos. Take advantage of this limited time offer only this month. Access your link just below in the pinned comment.
Half of the participants simply did not see the gorilla. It's not that they pretended not to see it. They did not see it. Their brains, occupied with the task of counting passes, actively filtered out the gorilla information as irrelevant. This phenomenon is called inattentional blindness, and it doesn't just happen in laboratories with basketball videos. It operates throughout your entire life. Inattentional blindness is the mechanism by which the human brain, overloaded with information, automatically decides what you will perceive and what will be invisible to you. And this decision is not neutral. It is shaped by what you expect to find, by what you fear finding, and above all by the operational mode in which you are functioning. When you are in survival mode, paying bills, resolving crises, managing urgencies, the brain narrows the field of attention to that which is immediately necessary. Everything that is not urgent becomes invisible, including the most important signals of your life. The UFSC and the Laboratory of Cognitive Psychology published research with Brazilian adults between 35 and 60 years old and discovered that this group operates in a reduced attention mode during a significantly larger proportion of the day compared to younger adults. Not due to cognitive deterioration, but due to accumulated overload. These are years of stacked responsibilities: children, work, parents' health, bills, social expectations, that train the brain to function as an increasingly narrow filter. And the narrower the filter, the more gorillas pass without being seen. More moments of clarity are discarded before reaching consciousness. More calls are swallowed by the noise. Now connect this with your experience. That book that fell into your hands with a message that seemed written for you, and that you put down halfway through because you had more important things to do. That dream you woke up from with a clear meaning and that evaporated in 10 minutes because the alarm went off and the routine swallowed it. That conversation with someone who said exactly what you needed to hear, but that you couldn't process because you were in a hurry. None of these moments were insignificant and none were completely lost. Each of them left a deposit, a residue that accumulated inside you like water dammed behind a barrier. What you feel now, this internal pressure, this hunger for something you cannot name, is the accumulated weight of everything that tried to reach you and that you, by being too busy surviving, could not receive. In the biblical tradition, there is a story that illustrates this phenomenon with a precision that impresses me every time I read it. 1 Samuel chapter 3. Samuel was a boy living in the temple under the tutelage of the priest Eli. One night, lying in the dark, he heard a voice calling his name, Samuel, and Samuel did what anyone would do. He got up, ran to Eli, and said, "Here I am, you called me." Eli replied, "I did not call, go back to bed." Samuel went back. The voice called again, "Samuel." He ran to Eli again. "Here I am, you called me." Eli again, "I did not call, my son, go back to bed." And it happened a third time, 3 times the same voice, 3 times the same run, 3 times the same mistake. And here is what changes everything. Samuel was not deaf. He heard the voice perfectly. The problem was not auditory, it was interpretative. He did not have the necessary framework to recognize who was speaking. The text makes a point of saying, in verse 7, something that is devastating in its simplicity. Samuel did not yet know the Lord, and the word of the Lord had not yet been revealed to him. He lived in the temple. He slept next to the ark, but he did not know the voice, because knowing the voice is not the same thing as being near the temple. Knowing the voice requires something that religious proximity does not give. It requires tuned attention. The Hebrew word for to call in this text is kara, and kara is a word that carries enormous weight in the biblical tradition. It is the same word used in Genesis 1, when God called the light day and the darkness night. Kara is not a casual call. It is not a generic shout. Kara is the word that names, that designates, that attributes identity and function. When God kara Samuel, he was not just calling his attention, he was naming his destiny. And Samuel almost lost it 3 times because he did not have the interpretative key to recognize what he was hearing. How many times has this happened to you? How many times has the voice, not necessarily an audible voice, but an internal impulse, a sudden clarity, a convergence of circumstances that seemed orchestrated, reached you, and you ran in the wrong direction? Not out of rebellion, not out of stubbornness, but because you did not have the framework to understand what was happening, because no one taught you to recognize the difference between noise and a calling. And if this content is making sense, if something inside you is recognizing itself in these words, I need to ask you to subscribe to this channel now and turn on the bell. Because what we build here, video by video, is exactly the framework that Samuel did not have. Each episode refines your ability to distinguish the voice from the noise, and if you miss one, the framework remains incomplete. Subscribe and stay. Now I need to go deeper, because Samuel's case shows what happens when a person does not recognize the calling due to a lack of framework. But there is something more serious, more painful, and more common than that. It is when the person recognizes the calling perfectly and chooses not to respond. And to understand this, I need to take you to one of the most disturbing stories in the Gospels. In Mark chapter 10, verses 17 to 22, a man runs to Jesus, kneels before him and asks, "Good teacher, what shall I do to inherit eternal life?" Jesus lists the commandments. The man replies, "All these I have observed from my youth." And then the text says something that sends chills. Jesus, looking at him, loved him. He did not look with judgment. He did not look with a test. He loved. And then he said, "One thing you lack. Go sell whatever you have and give to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven, and come follow me." And the man went away sad, because he had many possessions. This story has been taught for 2,000 years as a warning about material wealth. But the layer that almost no one explores is this. That man recognized the calling. He did not have Samuel's problem. He did not mistake the voice. He knew exactly who was speaking. He knew exactly what was being asked, and he chose not to respond. Not because he was evil, not because he was greedy in the vulgar sense of the word, but because the cost of responding was too high for what he was willing to let go. The Greek word that Mark uses to describe the man's state upon leaving is stigniazo. This word is extraordinarily specific. It does not just mean to be sad. Stigniazo describes the darkening of the countenance, a visible clouding over, like when clouds cover the sun. It is the same root used to describe the sky before a storm. The man did not leave crying. He left darkened. He left carrying the weight of knowing that he saw the answer, understood the answer, and chose to turn his back on it. I need you to feel the gravity of this, because there is an abysmal difference between not recognizing the calling and recognizing it and refusing. Samuel did not recognize it and therefore could try again. The rich young man recognized it and went away stigniazo, darkened. And the most devastating part, the text never mentions this man again. He disappears from the narrative. He is not punished. He is not condemned. He simply disappears. And this silent disappearance is perhaps the most frightening fate of all. The life that continues functioning on the outside, while on the inside the person knows they refused what was theirs. Researchers from Princeton in the Department of Psychology published a study on what they call regret of omission versus regret of action. The conclusion is consistent and confirmed by decades of data. In the short term, people regret more what they did wrong. But in the long term, and especially after age 40, the dominant regret changes radically. It becomes about what they did not do, the conversations they did not have, the risks they did not take, the callings they recognized but to which they did not respond. And this regret of omission, unlike that of action, does not diminish over time. It grows, because each passing year adds more weight to the question, what if I had responded? The IBGE published data from the Continuous National Household Sample Survey showing that Brazilians over 35 spend, on average, most of their waking hours in activities classified as maintenance, work, commuting, domestic obligations, bureaucracy. The time dedicated to what researchers call personal development and reflection activities is residual, almost non-existent. And this has a direct consequence on what we are discussing. When the entire life is built around maintenance, the calling arrives and finds no space to land. Not because you don't want it to, because there is no attention available. The gorilla passes and you are busy counting passes. If this video is resonating with something you recognize in your life, leave your like now. This gesture makes the algorithm deliver this content to other people who are trapped in maintenance mode without realizing what they are losing. A like can be the means by which this message reaches someone who needs it today. Now I need to show you the third layer, because so far I have shown you two scenarios. Those who do not recognize the calling and those who recognize and refuse. But there is a third, and it is what will give you the practical key to break the pattern. It is the story of someone who recognized the calling, actively fled from it, and yet was reached. Jonah. Jonah is probably the most honest prophet in the entire Bible, and I say that as a compliment. Because while other prophets hesitated with polite excuses, Moses said, "I don't know how to speak." Gideon said, "I am the least in my family." Jonah gave no excuse at all. He simply ran in the opposite direction. God said, "Go to Nineveh." Jonah bought a ticket to Tarshish. Nineveh was to the east. Tarshish was at the far west of the known world. Jonah did not hesitate. He fled, with conviction, with money invested, with an elaborate escape plan. And here is what I want you to realize. Jonah did not flee because he did not recognize the voice. Jonah recognized it perfectly. The text of Jonah chapter 1, verse 3, leaves no doubt. Jonah rose up to flee from the presence of the Lord. He knew who was speaking. He knew what was being asked, and he chose to flee. Not out of weakness, like Samuel, not out of material attachment, like the rich young man, out of disagreement. Jonah did not want Nineveh to be saved. He thought those people did not deserve God's mercy. The calling required him to be an instrument of something that contradicted his own judgment, and that was unbearable. How many times has the calling that reached you required something that contradicted what you thought was right? How many times did the pointed direction challenge not only your fear, but your sense of justice, your logic, your way of understanding how the world should work? Because this is the most sophisticated form of resistance. It is not, "I am afraid." It is, "I know better." The Hebrew word that describes Jonah's flight is barak. Barak means to flee, but not in the sense of running in panic. Barak has a connotation of seeking deliberate escape, of creating calculated distance. It is the same word used when Jacob flees from Esau in Genesis 27. Barak is the strategic flight. It is the person who not only deviates from the calling, but organizes logistics to ensure they will not be reached. Jonah did not run away aimlessly. He went down to the port, he found a ship, he paid the fare, he went down into the hold. Each step is one more layer of deliberate distance. But here is what transforms Jonah's story into the most hopeful of all. He fled, and God went after him. He did not give up. He did not choose another prophet. He did not say, "Fine, someone else go." He sent the storm. He sent the fish. He created conditions so absurd, so impossible to ignore that Jonah had to stop running, not because he was forced to obey, but because circumstances made the flight unsustainable. In Greek, there is a word for this type of intervention that interrupts the flight. The word is epistrophe. It is frequently translated as conversion, but that loses the richness of the original. Epistrophe comes from epi, upon, and strepho, to turn, to rotate. It literally means to be turned back. It is not the person who turns on their own. It is the person who is rotated by something greater than themselves. Epistrophe does not nullify human will. It creates conditions where resistance becomes more costly than surrender. And that is exactly what might be happening in your life right now. That discomfort that doesn't go away, that dissatisfaction that no distraction resolves, that emptiness that no material achievement fills. It might be your storm. It might be the mechanism that is making your flight unsustainable. Endeavor Brazil published a survey in 2022 about career transitions among professionals over 40 and found a revealing pattern. Most of those who made successful transitions described not a moment of sudden inspiration, but a progressive accumulation of dissatisfaction that reached a breaking point. And the researchers noted that in many cases, this breaking point was preceded by multiple signals that the professional identified retrospectively, opportunities that appeared and were ignored, conversations that pointed in the same direction, insights that were stifled by routine. The pattern was consistent. The signals came first. The awareness of them came later. And action came only when the pain of ignoring became greater than the fear of responding. And this is where I need to give you the practical tool, because understanding the mechanism is essential, but it is not enough. You need to know what to do from now on when the calling appears. The first step is to change the operational mode of your attention. Remember inattentional blindness. It works because the brain is in task mode, counting passes, resolving urgencies, maintaining routine. To get out of this mode, you don't need to drop everything and isolate yourself on a mountain. You need to create what researchers at the Institute of Noetic Sciences in California call windows of receptivity. These are short, deliberate intervals where you intentionally turn off task mode and allow attention to expand. 10 minutes of real silence, no phone, no music, no stimulus, are enough for the attentional field to open and the brain to begin processing what was being filtered. It is not esoteric meditation. It is basic neuroscience. When you remove the stimulus, the prefrontal cortex changes modes and begins to access connections that were suppressed by noise. And it is in these moments that the gorilla appears, that the insight arrives, that clarity emerges. The journal Nature Human Behavior published a study in 2023 showing that regular periods of intentional silence significantly increase activity in the default mode network, the brain network responsible for introspection, future planning, and meaning processing. In other words, when you truly make silence, the brain automatically begins to work on the questions that matter. It will seek the connections you couldn't make while you were counting passes. It recovers the gorilla that went unnoticed. The second step is to learn to sustain the tension of recognition without fleeing. Here is the difference between Jonah and the rich young man. Both recognized, both resisted. But Jonah, inside the fish, did something the rich young man did not do. He stayed. He stayed in the darkness. He stayed in the discomfort. He stayed until the resistance was exhausted and the prayer emerged. Jonah 2 is the prayer of someone who stopped running, not because they were convinced, but because they ran out of ground. From the belly of the abyss I cried, and you heard my voice. Sheol in Hebrew, the deepest place, the abyss, the point where there is nowhere further down to go. And it was from there, from Sheol, that the turn happened. The Hebrew word for this type of cry is shava. Shava is not the cry of someone asking for something from afar. It is the cry of someone who is inside the situation, submerged without an exit, and cries out from that place. It is different from a comfortable prayer. It is the prayer born when all side exits have been exhausted, and that prayer, according to the text, was heard. The fish vomited Jonah onto the beach, and this time, when the word came, "Arise, go to Nineveh," Jonah went. The third step is to accept that the calling will require something that your current judgment does not approve. This is the most difficult point and the most liberating. Jonah wanted Nineveh to be destroyed. The calling was to save Nineveh. Obedience required him to become an instrument of something he personally thought was wrong. And at the end of the book, when Nineveh repents and God forgives, Jonah is furious. Furious. Chapter 4, verse 1. Jonah felt great displeasure and became angry, and God does not condemn him for it. He asks a question, "Is it reasonable for you to be angry?" And Jonah answers yes, that it is reasonable, that he would rather die than accept that. And God, instead of arguing, offers a living parable. The plant that grows gives shade to Jonah and then dies. And God says, "You had pity on the plant, which cost you no labor. And should I not have compassion on Nineveh, a city with more than 120,000 people?" The book ends with that question, without an answer. The text does not tell us if Jonah accepted it, because the question is not for Jonah. It is for you. I need you to do something now. Go to the comments and write the word "I respond." In capital letters, I respond. This is not a casual word. It is the most courageous declaration you can make at this moment, because responding is different from understanding. Understanding is intellectual. Responding is existential. Samuel needed Eli to teach him to say, "Speak, Lord, for your servant hears." You can make that decision now, without needing a third party. Write "I respond," and make that word the point where you stop counting passes and look at the gorilla standing in the middle of your life. I want to close with that scene in the temple at night. Samuel lying in the dark, Eli in his quarters, the silence of the tabernacle, and the voice that calls for the fourth time. But now, Samuel is prepared. Now he has the framework, and when the voice says, "Samuel," he responds, "Speak, for your servant hears." In Hebrew, the word Samuel uses for hears is shomea. Shomea is not passive hearing. It is not the sound that enters the ear without intention. Shomea is active, receptive, committed hearing. It is hearing with the disposition to act upon what is heard. Shomea is the exact opposite of inattentional blindness. It is deliberately open, positioned attention, ready to receive what is being delivered. You do not need the calling to come 4 more times. You do not need a more spectacular, more dramatic, more impossible to ignore sign. What you need is to change the internal posture from one who counts passes to one who is available to see the gorilla. From one who runs to Tarshish to one who stays and faces Nineveh. From one who goes away stignazo to one who says shomea. The moments were not lost, they accumulated. The pressure you feel is the weight of everything that tried to arrive and was filtered. And now you have the framework that Samuel did not have. You have the information that was missing. The only thing missing is the response. Speak. If this video opens something you can no longer close, share it now with someone you know is counting passes while the gorilla is standing in the middle of their life. Sometimes the most powerful message you can give a person is a link that says, "Stop, look, pay attention," and turn on the bell, because in the next video I will reveal to you what happens inside you in the first 72 hours after you decide to respond to the calling. There is an internal reaction that most people mistake for regret, and that makes them retreat exactly when they are on the threshold of transformation. If you understand what this reaction is, it loses the power to stop you. Don't miss that video. The signals came, the voice called, the gorilla passed. Now it is up to you, Shemaya. Hear and respond.
Attention, you need to prepare now. I put together an exclusive resource for those who feel set apart for something greater, but live surrounded by noise, distractions, and mental overload. This is a 30-day journey that will transform your life, a guided path to armor your mind and prepare for what's coming, with daily practices of focus, boundaries, and discipline. Stop negotiating with the noise. Learn to spot distractions before they control you and strengthen your mind. Also available in an immersive audio version. Over 10,000 readers have already transformed their lives through the 30-day journey. Thousands of people have already started this transformation. People like you who were tired of living in the fog, ordinary people who decided to stop accepting mental chaos. Take advantage of this limited time offer only this month. Access your link just below in the pinned comment.